Hello and welcome to the magnetic field Kerbin. So in this mission we're just going to be observing the magnetic fields of Kerbin and Ruins. Simple mission. Well, yeah, it's a simple mission. There's enough fuel. Nothing really goes wrong. I just reverted flight. I'm actually not entirely sure why. Because I'm not paying attention to the screen. Alright, we're just going to launch. This is pretty much, this rocket pretty much looked like your Mun rocket. Except scrap the landing legs and all of these science equipment except for the magnetic field meter. One from the 1.10 update. As you can see, this rocket is actually relatively difficult to control. So I'm trying to control it, but it's difficult. As you can clearly tell, once it's in space, it's quite easy. It's just actually launching it. I'm ready to point and prograde right now. And as you can see, our apoapsis is raising quite high, nicely. There goes our main stage into the territory. As well as, I don't know, but I think that my main state, that my third stage has a bit more fuel than normal, because it does need to get to Minus and the Mun. So it doesn't need to land, and it doesn't really need to circularize as long as you get your periapsis correct. In your first location, you have to circularize, so you can easily get an encounter with either Kerbin, not Kerbin, either Minmus or the Mun, depending on which one you did first. Personally, I did the Mun first. You can do Minmus first. Either works. And I'm just trying to get it. And I believe this one actually failed. No, I think I just time warped around. Point prograde and then just raised my periapsis. As you can see, I got a nice little Mun encounter. It's actually quite easy to get a Mun encounter. That's something you should be impressed about. Those are some lights, so we're just going to log our data. I also put 2 on there because they're actually quite easy to break. They're about the same strength as solar panels. Now, there's one thing that I thought about, and that was, well, the Mun and Minmus don't actually have an atmosphere, so I wonder if maybe they'd give us different results if we were to land on them. That's a mission for another time. You see, we're just doing this. Now, we are just getting into the Mun, SOI, and there we go. We are going to circularize here. I think I end up circularizing at both, but just gonna time warp. As you can see, I'm going to run the magnetic field. I'm gonna extend your solar panels because I forgot before. This is actually quite a long mission. That's why it's sped up so long. But, you know, whatever. So, we are going to download the data. You can actually, I had some bad experiences in which I could only actually hold 5 pieces of data, which is fine. Space near to Kerbin, space far from Kerbin, space far from the Mun, space near to the Mun, space far from Minmus, and then space near to Minmus. I had to transmit 1, which it's not as good as having all of them and keeping them all, but we do what we have to do. So as you can see, I am just going to put my engine thrust limiter very low. And now we're in orbit with Kerbin again, but this time we're going to be going to Minmus. So we're going to create a maneuver node until we can get an encounter, which I was really close there. Just trying to force it. This encounter actually took a decent amount of time, but there we go, we got one. So we are just going to turn our thrust limiter back up to 100 so that we don't need to worry about accidentally missing or having to use a glorified, not as good, not as efficient nuclear engine. And as you can see, there's our encounter. Now, we were actually going to leave Kerbin's SOI. I was planning on just leaving and not circularizing with Minmus, but we would end up leaving Kerbin's SOI, so I decided against doing that. And for some reason I quick saved, quick loaded. Whatever. Alright, another encounter. And we'll start our burn. Quick saving. And there goes burn. So this mission's much quicker. I think this mission in reality took about half an hour to do, which granted is shorter than a lot of missions, for example, Moho or even Duna. But I believe our next mission is going to be Gilly. And if it is, I haven't recorded it. Actually, I haven't recorded any. This is the only video for this week that I've pre-recorded. Which, whatever. The commentary ends up being live anyway on the day of upload. I really gotta get this in check. Anyway, so we're going to start maneuver node. Then we need to circularize, which actually doesn't take too long. It's a very small burn. So we're actually going against Minmus's rotation, which isn't great, but since we're not trying to land, it's alright. Now, if you're going to attempt this mission, make sure you put your magnometers right near the capsule, so that you can easily just climb down with your pilot Kerbal, because you don't need a scientist Kerbal here. Pilot Kerbal should suffice. So, start our burn, which I will complete. I contemplating just being in an ecliptical orbit, but decided against it. As you can see, we also have that Communitron, in which you were able to transmit, just barely, though. You barely had enough electric charge. So, we're going to start a maneuver node, so that we can get into Kerbin's sphere of, or not Kerbin's, just get into Kerbin's atmosphere. That's all we need to do. That's all that's necessary. We don't need to do anything else. And we're going to start our burn. Soon, maybe. I don't know. There we go. And I'm looking at my periapsis. I'm going to extend, which I thought apparently. Guess not. I'll wait till we leave Mrs. Sphere of Influence, which is soon, I think. There we go. Now we're going to time warp, and I just didn't want to accidentally crash into the surface. And we're going to detach last minute so we can get a nice fireworks show, which will we get one? Maybe. I don't think we actually end up seeing. I think they all happened on the map screen, which, kind of stinks, but whatever, it's fine. I was kind of worried that maybe we didn't have, that maybe we're in too steep or too shallow of an incline and we just bounce off the atmosphere, but no, we're good. We're going to be landing, and I never shaved off any ablators, so we'll be good for ablator. So I'm just waiting to deploy my parachute, which is now. We're going to jettison the heat shield. There's no point in pulling around some extra weight. You want to slow down as fast as we can. Pulling around extra weight just makes it go slower. And we've landed. We're going to recover, and I don't exactly remember what nodes we're buying. So just follow along by the advanced mobility